Well, hello, my beautiful Virgo. Welcome to my channel. This is Baba Jolie here with a little bonus reading all about you. I've already cleansed your space and I've meditated on your cards. For those of you who are returning, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for all your wonderful likes, shares, and subscribes. I am truly grateful for all your beautiful energy. Just a little reminder though, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one reading, just so you're aware. Also, please be mindful, scammers are about, pretending to be me and lots of other tarot readers. I do not do personal readings and I will never reach out to you personally to offer one. Also, I will never ask you for money, e-gifts, or donations. So if anyone masquerading as me asks for anything at all, please report them or ignore them. It is a scam, okay? Let's move straight on with your reading. Now, I'm using Gaia chimes, so please be mindful to turn down your volume if you are someone who is sensitive to sound, okay? So let us begin. Okay, my beautiful Virgo, this is a little bonus reading all about you. Us tarot readers, we tend to focus on career, money, love, but we never ask how are you doing. So this reading is going to tap into what's going on with you right now, how you're moving through this time period, and of course what lies on the other side. Now, I don't know if you noticed with the Gaia chimes, it really felt like something that you've been experiencing is coming to a natural conclusion there, okay? Because there's this energy over this particular deck where everything just became still. And this is where I was naturally going to put down the Gaia chimes, but it came to a natural pause. So I really feel that something that has been going on for some time is coming towards a natural conclusion, and I feel like there's peace connected to this. So let's see what's going on with your cards and the energy that pops out. But I thought I'd note it because it's something that really came to me with the sound there. So thank you so much, Spirit Guides, Guardian Angels. Can you please guide my beautiful Virgo? What are they going through at this moment in time? Can you please show me the way to guide my beautiful Virgo, the foundation of what it is that they're going through at this moment in time? So we have the Moon card, so a lot of uncertainty, really questioning there. The Moon energy can also be you're trying to exert some independence in your life. You may even have a little bit of an inner battle regarding comfort, you know, and independence, because there tends to be a dog and a wolf on the Moon card. So the dog represents loyalty, it represents people in your life, comfort, you know, people you can trust, and of course security, long-term security there, and companionship. It doesn't have to be companionship with a love interest, it can be just the people around you, but also there is that wolf, which is about independence, having your own time to go off and do your own thing. So I feel this could be a little bit of an inner battle, but I have to touch the card. The Moon energy, you know, it is about feeling a little bit cautious about what lies ahead for some of you at this time. And the crossing card is the Nine of Swords. So it can indicate there's some anxiety or over-analysis on something at this moment in time. You know, I don't choose the cards for you, my beautiful Virgo. I wish you didn't get those cards, but perhaps it is reflective of what it is that you're going through right now. Something is deeply on your mind. You have a lot on your to-do list, a lot going on in that beautiful brain of yours as well. And sometimes when we overthink a situation, we can get a little bit nervous. We can get a little bit like carried away with the worst case scenario in some things. And I feel, you know, there is change afoot with you right now. And looking at the energy, oh yeah, look at the Fool card. We have the Fool card in the grounding position. So this indicates some of you are starting again in some way. It can be that you're taking a leap of faith on something as well. But you know, looking at your potential, the Nine of Cups indicates this leap of faith or this decision that you have right now is actually going to lead you to a dream come true. Nine of Cups is your wish fulfilled, but also it is satisfaction, it's contentment. It feels like you're going to be really proud of yourself with the vision that you have for your future. But sometimes, you know, when you care so much about something, that's when we can get a little bit nervous or worried that perhaps we're not going to reach that, you know, destination point, or perhaps something we desire or been, you know, investing so much hard work in, whether it's a relationship or a job or a way of life or a lifestyle choice, whatever it is, it can be really hard and, you know, it can be challenging, especially if there's slow growth or there's change afoot. And the Fool card can indicate that some of you are even thinking about a new direction, because right now in the water, I'm seeing 4 arrows. Okay, of course, I'm not seeing like north, east, south, west. I'm not seeing that, but I'm seeing, you know, the arrows that go in those directions. So it could be that you're searching at this moment in time. You're focused on your direction, and perhaps there is an alternative path opening up for you, one that is, you know, a little bit more exciting but daunting, because perhaps it's not something that you've experienced before. You could be moving through uncharted territory at this time, but I'm just seeing these 4 arrows. So, I mean, arrows are actually about focus. You know, it can be that you have many things on your mind and there is something you need to prioritize at this moment in time. But that Fool card is also telling me that life has got pretty serious. There's a lot of responsibility and perhaps some of you concern about maybe even the world at this moment in time. There's a lot of volatile energy out there. And, you know, I feel this is sometimes very hard, you know, when we are aware of such a grand conflict going on in the world. And of course, you know, the world has been in conflict forever, really, when you think about it, all over the world. But, you know, in the last couple of years, it just feels like everything has increased in its kind of like craziness, as it were. So you may be feeling that undercurrent of the collective, you know, that worry, that anxiety of like, what's next, you know? So you may be trying to focus on your goals and dreams, and, you know, you feel it's really hard to not be distracted by world events at this moment in time. So I have to acknowledge that that is present. You know, a lot of the collective are getting the Moon card right now, which can indicate, of course, that you are focused on your dreams, trying to romance your life a little bit more. You're deeply sensitive and feeling, you know, emotional right now as well. But also it can be a card of fear, anxiety, nervousness, and you've got it crossed by the Nine of Swords, which can indicate that you're trying to protect yourself in a situation, or it can indicate as well that perhaps you're trying to recover from a situation that made you feel a bit nervous there. So some of you could also be going through something personal and you're just recovering from this at this moment in time, and you know, you're uncertain about how things lie ahead. But I can see here that, you know, there is an energy of diligence, perseverance through this, and on the other side there is happiness, joy, and contentment, and basically well-being, you know, and fulfillment there. And we have the Five of Swords. Now the Five of Swords, I'm just going to pull another card. The Five of Swords indicates, you know, intrusive thoughts. So some of you may be actually looking at the nature of intrusive thoughts, especially when you're feeling a little bit sensitive or during moon cycles. You know, lunar cycles really do affect humans, and the way we think and act are our hormones as well, you know, so it can be something that you're noticing how it impacts you. We've got the Justice card there, and we've got the Ten of Swords. Yeah, something is ending and beginning here for you. Okay, now this is really random. Okay, I didn't want to mention it, but it's actually coming up again right now. Okay, and before I start anyone's reading, I do a little bit of a tap in to meditate on the energy and reflect on the images I see in the water. I light the candle, and then I get the match there, and I see images, and then I sort of merge the water and the match together. So, you know, basically we're really tapped into your energy there. But a song came out, and this is such a random song. Now, at first I was like, I've never heard of this song in my life. What is this? But then, you know, I sort of like looked it up, okay, because I was like, I don't know what this is, so I need to understand why I'm getting this. And then when I looked it up and heard it, I was like, oh, this is like from childhood. This is a childhood song, okay? And I'm not sure how it's relevant for any of you, but it's actually coming up again in the water right now, because I'm clairaudient. I see visions as well, so clairvoyance. But you actually have cards that actually connect really a little bit, I guess. Not to the name, because someone's name in this song, but I'll give you the lyrics of what I can hear. Okay, so let me just tap in now. There was a man called Michael Finnegan. He grew whiskers on his chin again. Along came the wind and blew them in again. Poor old Michael Finnegan, begin again. So really random, okay? It's something that I thought I've never heard of before, but then it, you know, when I discovered it online, because I had to look it up, I was like, what's this? I realized actually it is something that I have heard of in my childhood somewhere, okay? I'm not sure why I've heard it or where, you know, as in, you know, who sang it to me or anything like that, or how I picked it up, and it is there in the recesses of my mind there. But, you know, the name probably doesn't connect to you at all. But the fact that you have a Ten of Swords and a Fool card here, it can indicate that something that you were doing has come to a natural conclusion. I just realized the energy of your reading here, and you're beginning again. You're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience, but you know, this is the winds of change right here, the Wheel of Fortune. So whatever change it is that you're going through, you know, it can be that you're beginning a new cycle. It doesn't always mean that you've lost something, you know, but it can be that something that was growing, because if you symbolically break that song down, I mean, I don't really know where it comes from and the significance of it and why it is actually a childhood song. Really weird, but anyway, you know, it is the nature of someone growing something, even if it is a whisker on the chin, and, you know, then along came the wind. So winds represent change, and, you know, it can be that something that was, you know, maybe coming to a natural conclusion, because the Ten of Swords is a natural conclusion there. So it can be that you're beginning again on something, and it can be either a friendship or relationship or a new environment. Okay, so perhaps this is something you're contemplating right now because you have so many swords. This is a very cerebral energy. And for some of you, you know, if you have been going through a period of grief or sadness, perhaps that song is relevant in some way. I'm not sure how, but it could be something that someone used to sing to you or you're aware of from a period in your life. So with a lot of love and respect, I'm going to move away from that energy, but I had to mention it. At first I was like, there's no way that song's ever going to come up and be for a Virgo reading at all, okay? But it came in before. And I don't mention anything that comes in before. I just note the energy. And then suddenly it came up in your reading, so then I have to tell you about it because, you know, it's there. But anyway, let's move away from that. Your first card there is the Moon energy. So this can indicate, for some of you, maybe, you know, there's a lot of talk in the world about new beginnings, resets, and things like that. Perhaps this is something that you're conscious of, you know, all the kind of moves that are going on in our world at this moment in time. Perhaps that's how the song and your cards are relevant. Perhaps you're noticing certain, you know, events in the world where you feel like there's some sort of reset or some sort of transformation or major change or beginning going on in the world, and you're worried about it and how you will kind of like deal with this. But I can see here with the Justice card that, you remain balanced, you're doing what is right. And the Five of Swords indicates that, in terms of our minds, sometimes we fear something more than when it actually arrives. And we're like, oh, okay, what was the big deal? It was kind of like pegged to be something like monumental. And then suddenly we're like, oh, no, it didn't happen that way. So it can be, fear itself making itself kind of like amplified because, our mind can amplify fear greater than the actual, event itself. Sometimes, when you see like horror films, the best horror films don't show you. They hint at the thing that you should be scared of, for example, because as soon as you see it, you're like, oh, okay, now I get it. It's that. But when your mind kind of like has the, small like hints in a movie, you're like, oh my gosh, what could that be? Oh my gosh, that's awful. So I feel for some of you, it could be something like that you're going through, that you're worried about something, but when it actually happens or arrives, looking at the energy, I don't see it really arriving. I just see this kind of like acknowledgement that, oh, okay, the truth of the situation is you're bringing your fears or your worries into perspective. That's what I see here. I feel actually you're protected. Four of Cups indicates the universe is going to send you an opportunity to help you in your personal circumstances there. Seven of Pentacles, this is an energy of you kind of like evaluating your life or checking an exchange. So it could be with that Justice card that whatever it is that is this new start for you, whether it is you going out into the world after a long-term relationship and you've had, a separation there, or someone has betrayed you with that Ten of Swords there, or you're navigating a new lifestyle choice. Some of you may notice that friendships are evolving right now, or things are shifting and changing, or something has changed. And it just feels like even though you're doing life and it feels somehow the same, it can feel like somehow everything's different. It just feels different, okay? Because I'm getting this energy of you trying to navigate your way through something new. But somehow, with the Four of Cups, everything is still the same, because the Four of Cups can indicate someone is a little bit fed up with the way things are right now. So you may feel that you're fed up of change, or you're fed up of worrying about something, or you're fed up of like clickbait, kind of like raising your cortisol levels every time you see like a news slogan. It's like, oh my gosh, you have 30 seconds to read this, otherwise it's catastrophe. And you're like, oh my gosh, even though you may not click on the link, you're witnessing the slogan, and it can raise anxiety. Because, as I said, I didn't choose the cards here for you, my beautiful Virgo, but something may be causing some level of anxiety. And, I feel there's this energy to recognize that there's nothing to worry about. I can see the potential position, which is something that you will accomplish in your future. Nine of Cups indicates you're right on track. You're very intuitive. This moon energy, and of course the giraffe is always the visionary card energy, because the giraffe can see things way off in the future because of that beautiful long neck. And you have that moon energy, which means intuitively, if there's any change, whether this is in the world, whether this is in your personal circumstances, you got it. If you got a hunch, I feel there's an energy here of you preparing yourself or being ready. Okay, so again, if you're worried about something, it doesn't have to be any of the things that I've mentioned. I'm just giving you ideas of what it could be, but I'm just being given this energy with that Chariot and with the Three of Cups that, celebrate the now. There is more to celebrate in your future. So the best is yet to come. There really is nothing to worry about. Nine of Swords is actually in the crossing position, which means you're going to worry naturally because you're human, okay? And you love to overanalyze things. Sometimes you can't help it. You do have that incredible brain of yours, which can go to any direction. Maybe that's what the arrows are about there. It can be that you think about everything. And then when you think about everything, it feels very overwhelming, because I do see a lot of you are at capacity. You have a lot on your mind, and this can be emotionally overwhelming as well. So it's about prioritizing and breaking things down. But I'm going to move away from this energy right now, because of course it may not resonate with everybody. The moon energy is about the shadow self. It can be that you're trying to break free from a generational cycle. It can be you're trying to break free from a pattern or a cycle of repeat. And you're really deep in thought about what that is. You know, the moon card can indicate that you're drained, you're tired. You know, the moon cannot shine all by itself. It requires the sun. So you may feel that right now you're depleted in your resources, or you have so much going on in your life, it's exhausting to do what you do, and there's so much responsibility right now. And with that Fool card energy, you really just want to kick back, relax, and have fun. You want things to be lighter, but there's this heaviness on you right now. And the Nine of Swords, as you can see, it says anxiety, hopelessness, or trauma. Some of you may even be doing a deep dive emotionally into something that you have experienced that caused a lot of trauma, or something that perhaps shaped who you are. And you're trying to get a sense of it, a measure of it, so that you can recognize that it shaped who you are. It is important. It's a monumental event that occurred in your life, but you're trying to set yourself free from the grip of the heaviness, so that you can feel lighter, so that you can actually move forward in life and have fun and embrace joy and happiness. You know, sometimes people don't realize that the measure of healing and empowering yourself is not to prepare yourself for more pain or depression or sadness or anxiety. You've been through that. You're not preparing for that when you're healing. You're healing so that you can open yourself up to joy and trust that it is something that will come into your life and will stay. So I feel a lot of you could be getting to grips with something like that right now, and it is a monumental time in your life where you're shutting something down, you're closing it down. And, you know, for some of you with this kind of like new start energy, it could be that you're finally cutting something out of your life, or even a person out of your life that you feel is negative or draining. Or it could be that there is a substance that's clouding your mind sometimes, or making you have intense highs and lows. Because, you know, you got two nines here. I feel a lot of you, there is this energy of going from fear to possibility. There's a lot of exciting opportunities coming your way. And I feel with that Wheel of Fortune, if you haven't received a surprise yet from the universe, you're about to. And it's something you'll celebrate. You have a Four of Cups here, and you have a Three of Cups. It's something, you know, it's almost like if you've been delivered something so far, some sort of extra luck, that's not the end of it. Because Four Cups indicates there is something new coming on in, something that's going to surprise you, okay? And the Three of Cups indicates you'll celebrate this. But because the Three of Cups, this is a very interesting Three of Cups. This can, of course, represent, you know, community, people around you, friendships, family members, but there's snakes here. So it can indicate something in your immediate circumstances has changed, whether this is a dynamic with a person, or, you know, some group of people there. Snakes can represent toxicity, but also can represent change. So if you've been experiencing, you know, some level of toxicity in a group of people, whether it's at work or in the neighborhood or in your family or in a group of people, you know, maybe even a frenemy, or even like if you're on social media and you've been having a barrage of like haters out there. Normally when you have haters, it means you're doing something to trigger the hate. They see something in you that they lack in themselves, for example. So it could be that you're just noticing at first it causes anxiety because you're like, why are they saying these things? But actually you recognize that they see your infinite power and they want to tear you down rather than raise you up. And if you're dealing with something like that, it doesn't have to be on social media, for example. If you're dealing with a bully or someone who's trying to control you in some way, or you're dealing with someone who is being passive aggressive, for example, you know, the Three of Cups can indicate with that Ten of Swords and the Fool card that you're just going to turn your back on the situation and not allow it to infiltrate your inner peace, your inner sanctuary. So a lot of you could be dealing with something like that right now. But, you know, the Three of Cups can indicate there is change in some sort of group of people. And that could indicate that either you are leaving a neighborhood or deciding to migrate, for example, or these are just thoughts, because these are very cerebral cards, okay? The moon is to be very deep in your emotions, but also it indicates the hidden comes to light. Okay, so if you're mistrusting a situation, you will find the truth of that situation. The Justice card indicates the truth will out and a solution shall be found. You will judge a situation, and based on the cards, a lot of you, with that Five of Swords, you may have to judge a situation that you don't particularly want to leave, or you didn't want it to happen, but ultimately the Ten of Swords is like you're done. There's definitely an energy of the winds of change here about you, where you are so fed up with something, you're so done with it, that you just are cutting it off, or you're just, re-empowering yourself, and you're the victor. It feels like, you're still standing in this, whatever this is. And the Nine of Swords can indicate that you're worried about it, because it is a crossing card. And more than anything, what I see here is that the moon is like things being orchestrated behind the scenes, okay? The universe kind of like shifting mountains and making paths available for you to move through to where you need to go. Because if you know the traditional Rider-Waite Tarot, the dog and the wolf, they stand, either side of a path. And that path leads over the mountain, okay? So it can be that the path feels uncertain, but the path is clear. So it also feels that something hidden will come to light at the right moment. Now, looking at your cards, the Fool card is there, which means it's a fresh new start or a new era in your life. But it's exciting because the Fool card is there. The Fool is like, let's have a new adventure. Let's take a chance. Let's go for this. Whether it's fresh new ideas, whether that's, your playful side coming out, or whether you're doing a deep dive with the inner child work and you're like suddenly discovering things. Maybe that's why that song was actually from childhood. I'm just sort of making the connections right now. That Fool card can be, childhood situations that you're trying to come to terms with, or note that perhaps these experiences, especially if you were bullied, for example, shaped who you are and tried to dull your shine, but you're not allowing that to happen. This Ten of Swords, as you can see, this person is standing tall. And there is a beautiful glow about this person. So it's like you will not be defeated by whatever this is. Okay? But with this moon energy, it can indicate that something is being offered by the universe for you, and it will come in at the right moment. It's not here yet for the majority of you, okay? Because we then go, the Nine of Swords is crossing, so it can be something that you think about from time to time. And whatever it is, it brings success. Because you have the Fool card, which is, as I said, a leap of faith, taking a chance, an opportunity is being offered. The Wheel of Fortune, it's lucky, it's out of the blue. Nine of Cups, it's something you wish for, okay? And then the Four of Cups can indicate that there's something about it where you may feel you need to look objectively at it, take stock, It's almost like at first you feel something comes in that you're like, oh, that is exactly what I kind of wanted, but somehow it doesn't feel right, or it isn't exactly how I wanted it. The universe is sending you an opportunity that perhaps doesn't feel like it at this moment in time, and it may require change. But it's going to be a positive change. But I feel there's something extra coming on in that is exactly what you asked for, okay? And I feel, as you can see with that Three of Cups, you'll celebrate this. Four of Cups is also a celebratory energy. It means, something, just when you're beginning to doubt, or just when you're feeling a bit fed up, the universe says, surprise, and offers you something there. The Chariot card indicates it helps you move forward, or it helps you, have some sort of victorious moment. And, the Ten of Swords can indicate that a part of your life has to change or end in order to accept this victory. So, for example, I'm just giving you an example. If you are someone who is in a career and you're hoping for like a top position with lots of money, suddenly it could come in. But with it, it requires change. It could be that you have to travel overseas, or you have to travel, or the nature of your day-to-day is now completely changing. And with that Ten of Swords, and that Nine of Swords, it can indicate that, you're very worried about this, you're nervous about stepping into this new position, but it's actually everything you dreamed of, and it's going to be a great contract, and you're still going to worry, especially when you go into it at first. You're going to be nervous because it's a new position, but ultimately it is your destiny to be successful. It could also be that you're thinking about moving to a new neighborhood, for example. It doesn't always have to be connected to career. And these are things outside of yourself, but they're also triggering fear or thoughts within you about the nature of this change. So If you are deciding to look abroad for property, or you feel the world is changing right now and you're shifting and wondering, where do you belong? Where is it safe to be at this moment in time? You may be thinking about going overseas or going to a different neighborhood, and it may be a place that you feel daunted to move because there's something here perhaps that you've always known, but the time has come to change. So there could be worries or fears about the path ahead, but I can see here that this path, this change, this new beginning is actually something that you will reflect on for years to come, that you were satisfied you made the right decision, okay? Because I feel a lot of you, there is a decision to be made here. No matter the decision, whatever it is, it's going to be different for everybody, and you just don't want to get it wrong, but you're not going to. I see that you're not going to, okay? Now, the Fool card is on the earthly plane position, so this can indicate, that you are someone who has a beautiful young heart. You do not look your age. You're someone who, you work hard, play harder. There's an energy here about you wanting to be happy-go-lucky. However, you feel with the moon energy, there's always this whisper of doubt or thoughts. So some of you could have kind of battled away with doubt or insecurity throughout your life. But I feel a lot of you are conquering this at this time. You're recognizing that you are you. You're unique. There's no one else out there like you, and that literally is your superpower. So embrace who you are and the uniqueness of you. And, the Fool card, of course, can connect to children. So some of you, you may be doubtful whether you want to have children. Some of you may not be able to have children as well, and that could be something that's on your mind. Some of you may literally be pregnant and be worried about the path ahead, even though there's nothing to worry about here. It can be, that there's some sort of monumental shift or change. You could be thinking about going into retirement, or you're currently in retirement and you're worried about this monumental next step. But I can see here that, when you get to that position, that's what I feel. It's like a new era is upon you. But when you get to this new position, it's like somehow you're starting again, but you're so excited. You're satisfied with, yeah, I got here. I was worried about getting here, but now I'm here. I realized there was nothing to worry about. I realized, actually, you know what? I'm in good hands. The universe has got my back. And if you see here, on this particular card, there is a lotus flower unfolding on the crown chakra. So this means peace of mind. So this can indicate that something comes on in where the universe kind of like shows you evidence that things are working for you and not against you at this time. Even if you've experienced some sort of rejection recently, it is protection and redirection. It is a silver lining. And it took me many years myself to acknowledge that. I had many tower moments and I was like, why is it happening? But then when I sat very, very still and things started to calm down, the universe was almost like, let me show you. And before, I was like so chaotic. I had, 3 jobs at one point. I was trying to do everything, and there was just this hectic energy. I always used to say I should have been like in the circus because I was always juggling. And that was just, I was always on like this heightened kind of energy of hoping things would work out and trying so hard. And then the universe was like, you're trying too hard. And I was like, but I got to make it work. I got to do these things. I got to pay the bills. I got to do all this. And the universe went, whoop, clean slate. And I was like, and in that like shock, because for some of you, that Ten of Swords, it can be a very abrupt ending of something. But in that moment, the universe said, let me take care of you. And then suddenly opportunities came my way. Suddenly life seemed better. And I didn't trust it at first, but I was taught that it gets better. And with this Wheel of Fortune for you, I feel it is a lucky change. It is a shift that is going to benefit you, okay? But a lot of you, because there is this mirror there, a lot of you, everything you've been giving out to the universe will be reflected back to you. There's good karma coming here with that Justice card and a breakthrough. I feel more than anything, your Ten of Swords and your Fool card is a breakthrough. So if you've been trying to have a breakthrough on like a diet-related issue or a relationship or a job or a neighborhood or even some personal thoughts, if you're trying to conquer thoughts, intrusive thoughts, whatever it is you're trying to have a breakthrough on, because it's going to be personal to everybody, it's something that you're thinking about and trying to exact in your life, you will have that breakthrough. You will see that breakthrough come on in. And it says here, fate, karma, and fortune. So, of course, fortune favors the brave. And the Fool card, is a brave card because they're willing to start again. They're willing to, release. Now, the Fool card, of course, always indicates to be at the beginning of something, of course. But I feel for some of you, this is like taking more risks or opening yourself up to calculated risks because you have thought about something for a long time, whatever this is. And the Nine of Cups indicates that which you are taking a chance on, you shall be successful. Nine of Cups, it is a wish delivered. Some of you, it could be that you're about to purchase your first home and you're worried about how it's going to go. All the logistics, the paperwork, the legalities, making sure that the money's in place and, the mortgage repayments and, all of these things can be something that you're worried about. And it can be that you had to just take a chance and go for it. Sometimes we don't know the information. Sometimes we don't know how things are going to go. But if we always fear, then we're always going to be in the same position and we're never going to try anything. So I feel a lot of you are, feeling that fear and doing something anyway. But also, the Nine of Swords is in the crossing position, which tells me there's nothing to fear, okay? I mean, if the Nine of Swords was in your potential position or the 6 weeks position, I would say, you know what? Be a little bit mindful. There's some things that you need to look into. Don't move with haste. I would say those sort of things. Do your due diligence. Look a bit further. Investigate further, yeah? But looking at the energy, I feel like the time for investigating and getting all your information has come. And it's moving into more action-based energy now. And it says here, satisfaction, luxury, emotional stability. Because we have the moon there, that's why I'm mentioning so many aspects. This can be financial stability, it can be emotional stability there, but also it can be, you being so critical on yourself sometimes that you put a lot of pressure on yourself. But of course the world is pressurized right now, so it can be that everything that is going on around you is informing you and is heightening that level of anxiety and pressure. So I feel there is going to be an energy where suddenly there is that breakthrough and the pressure is going to come off. Okay, with that Four of Cups, I feel it may be a surprise opportunity, but the Four of Cups can also indicate that when you're feeling frustrated with life or let down by people or scenarios or situations, sometimes your go-to thought process is very critical. And maybe even recently, because we've had so many intense placements, planetary alignments, and moon cycles, you may have been a little bit more critical or negative than usual, okay? And you may be reflecting on that, going, what's causing this? And you could notice that in other people as well, because that Three of Cups is there. So if you've not been experiencing it, it may be that you're witnessing it in other people, like, why are they so negative? What's going on? Why is everything shifting or changing right now? And it can be that people are trying to connect more to their sense of purpose. And, the old system, as it were, is starting to crumble or to break away. And people are seeing things differently at this moment in time. And I don't really want to go down that rabbit hole, as it were, but I'm getting this energy of you kind of like breaking through something and seeing something differently so that you can benefit from it more. I would also say that when there's moments of boredom or moments of feeling frustrated or let down or disappointed, because this card, it can indicate, a discouragement or a disappointment or an expectation not being met in some way. And it can like chip away at your sense of motivation, because I feel a lot of you, you're reaching for something, especially with that Nine of Cups there, and it can be so hard that you feel sometimes you're taking 2 steps forward, 4 steps back, and you're like, oh, it's like, can I catch a break? It always feels just out of reach. And that's when, negative thoughts can arise, especially before bed, because the Nine of Swords is a card where a figure is normally in bed, okay? And it can be that something plays on your mind, whether it's world events, whether it's the things that you're going through personally, whether it's a conversation that someone said about 5 years ago, and you go, what did they mean by that? I should have said that back to them in return, but I didn't. And then you have this wonderful conversation in your mind with that person and try and correct it, the things you should have said. You visualize a sort of, response you should have had in that moment. So some of you may be going through that. And, that Nine of Swords, you may have been really affected recently with insomnia, because of the moon cycles. They may have been intense, and you may be trying to identify a way to either cut something out before bed, or, I mean, because there's so many cerebral kind of energies there, a lot of you, it could be connected to the internet, okay? Swords are connected to information, to the internet, and to the ether, to the mind. So it could be that you're trying to limit something or cut something out so that you can actually have a great night's sleep. Okay, so it can literally be that. If you came to this reading and you heard all the other stuff and you're like, nope, 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 and then suddenly, you know, there's this energy of insomnia, you're like, yeah, that's it. So it could be that you're about to find a way to balance something out, or like take a critical stance on something and say, no, I'm cutting something out, and, you know, I'm going to have a better sleep, and therefore when I get up in the morning, I'm going to look amazing. You look amazing anyway, but if you're having lack of sleep, it could be that you feel a little bit tired in your energy, and, you know, it can be that it's reflected that you're feeling drained. But I see that you'll conquer that, okay? Or you will actually discover a practitioner who helps you, or maybe even some sort of mindfulness app, you know, or something before bed that you listen to, something that's aural rather than visual. Because I'm just being given this energy right now about blue light from the phone, how it, like, you know, dilates the pupils and activates this sense that, you know, you should be awake longer for this information. So yeah, perhaps you're going through that at this time. But that Four of Cups represents something of a surprise that's coming your way that you're not going to be disappointed by, and you will not refuse, as it were. I feel like you're going to grab this opportunity with both hands. You're going to be nervous about it because change always means, you know, you have to adjust. The Justice card is about adjusting, tempering your energy. But whatever it is, it indicates with that Chariot card, it's something that is celebratory. It's something that's successful. It's something that you move on from a challenging time. So it feels like, you know, some of you could be like nervous of success itself, because it means a lifestyle change, an upgrade, and people change. They look at you differently. So it could be something like that that you're going through. But Three of Cups, you know, it says friendship, community, and happiness. And this is your advice to yourself in this moment, to live in the moment and be true to the people that you care about and build happy memories with those people. You know, find contentment in the present moment. But a lot of you are realizing that happiness doesn't come from outside of yourself. It's inside of yourself. So, you know, your happiness is not tied up with other people either. You're not responsible for other people's happiness. So I feel with this Three of Cups energy that you are finding more peace in group activities, or, you know, finding your soul tribe. If you're currently, you know, looking or searching for soul tribe members, I definitely see that you're going to find you know, a group of people or a group activity that you connect to. For some of you, I feel like you may even meet like a couple of people at first, and one person you're like, as you get to know them, you're like, no, okay, we're not gelling. So you will be very discerning about the company that you keep. I feel there's one person, you're not isolating this person, but you just feel, okay, you know, they're a little bit tactless in the way that they talk. And at first, you like the abruptness of their reality and their authenticity, but then it borders on, you know, going too far with conversation. So I feel some of you will step back from a person. Okay, that's coming out strongly there. But, you know, I feel a lot of you are trying to integrate in community or find people who gel with you at this time, because I feel a lot of you, either you are experiencing your current circumstances just feeling different, whether that's people or your environment. I feel like you're searching for a place that you feel like you belong, okay? And I feel like you're going to find that. Now, the Chariot card, this is circumstances outside of yourself. The nature of life itself is change. The Chariot card is a directional gauge card, so it can be that right now you're trying to change direction, or you're trying to change something about yourself in some way, okay? Whether it's your thoughts, a lot of you it's thoughts because of so many swords there. And it says here self-control, discipline, and success. But it can be that you are being withdrawn at this time in order to focus on some measure of success, and you will be successful. You know, circumstances outside of yourself indicate you have no control over this. You will be successful. I mean, to some degree, you're taking action. You have a vision, you started something, and you will finish it, and you will be the victor. That's why I love this card, because the Ten of Swords is reimagined in this card. It indicates victory. This person has won something, and this is your final card, but it may have come at the cost of something else. And sometimes, the measure of life is that success comes after a challenge, adversity, or a failure. And I always say there's no such thing as failure, only a learning curve of how to do something differently next time round. So I feel a lot of you may have dusted yourself, picked yourself up, and sort of like moved on. You're starting again. Maybe that's again what that song is about. But the Chariot card indicates that you are moving on and you are making movements and improvements in your life, and you will be the victor. A lot of you, this can be that you're leaving the old behind, whether it's old thoughts, old visions, maybe old neighborhoods, whatever it is. I feel like you're passionately driven and moving forward towards a personal victory or towards a place that you feel is calling to you right now. And I feel like you're definitely moving forward. You're not stationary and you're not stuck in the past, is what I see. Now, we have the Seven of Pentacles. This just came in. This is just such a random thing. My guides just gave me this. Just because you can't see me doesn't mean I'm not there. That just came in. Just because you can't see me doesn't mean I'm not there. So I'm not sure what that's about. I mean, I could offer up a guess, of course, but I don't like to guess. I like to, if I feel the energy or I get an instant hit from my guides about something, then I'll give it to you. But all I can give you is the sentence that I just heard from my guides. Just because you can't see me doesn't mean I'm not there. Okay? So I feel intuitively it pertains to a person who is around you, but they may be in spirit. But I'm just going to leave that there because that's not something that I can see in the cards, and it's not something that I have been given in the energy. All I was given was a sentence. So I'm going to leave that there with a lot of love and respect. Thanks so much. I'm truly grateful. I'll move on from that energy, okay? So the hope and fear, we have the Seven of Pentacles. Some of you are trying to save something. Seven of Pentacles can be that you're dissatisfied with something and you're checking the exchange. Something may have developed and you're feeling that an alternative route would be a next step, as it were, or you're trying to save something that perhaps you've been investing in, and you may even save it, but still try something else out. There's an explorative energy about you right now. But I feel like life is hard work, and you haven't been putting this much investment into life and into work. And I'm not talking about career, I'm just talking about doing life in order to just come this far. I feel a lot of you could be in a review period. You're trying to plan ahead. You're trying to have foresight here. And actually, you're very intuitive and have psychic flashes, knowingness. If you're not seeing visions, you just have hunches. You just know. And I feel, this is about your accomplishments coming to fruition. And, yeah, it may be slow and steady, but it's still progress. The fear, of course, is all this hard work for naught. Okay, and you don't want to have a setback. This card can also indicate that either something hasn't been lining up for you recently, or you thought about giving up on something because it's not rewarding. And for some of you, there is this pinnacle point where, the Ten of Swords is there, so this can indicate that whatever it is, you're not abandoning it. You could have a fresh new perspective on it, or you could work out an alternative way. You're ready for change. The Ten of Swords says, I'm ready to change. Things have been a certain way for a long time, and I'm done with that. I'm fed up with that. I need to change. Anything that you don't change, you accept. And I feel there's something here in your reading right now where you don't want to accept less than you truly deserve. And I feel that's the nature of change. And these are your outcome cards. The Five of Swords indicates that, the body is an incredible gauge. It gives you pressure when your body is screaming out to you to say, this has to stop. We have to change. Something needs to go on here where we kind of shift or, transform something, transition, or do something that is different, because this can indicate you're under a lot of pressure. It can indicate that you have a lot on your mind and it's weighing you down. But this is literally like the gatekeeper to this new portal, as it were, because humans, when we feel comfortable, because it comes back to your foundational card with the moon about that dog energy, which is about being comfortable in a situation to the point where sometimes you get complacent. We all do it. We all accept something. We're like, oh, okay, you know what? It is what it is. Let's just keep it this way or whatever, you know, and then your body starts to get really pressurized and your thoughts, and you're like, oh, why am I feeling like this? I'm feeling cranky, or, you know, tension can be a shaper of worlds. I know personally that whenever I feel really like tense about something, I'm like, it's almost like I'm thrown into doing something about it. You know, otherwise I'll just sit there and be like, okay, you know what? It's bothering me, but not that much. But when it gets critical, then I'm like, right, that's it. I've had enough. I have to do something about it. If it's, you know, me feeling like I've had too much caffeine, I'm like, okay, this has got to stop. I've got to do something about this because it's making me feel cloudy in my judgment, or I'm getting intense highs and lows, or whether it's like, you know, I don't know, accepting that someone has said something really passive aggressive, and I think, you know what, maybe they didn't mean that. Maybe they actually meant something else and I've just taken it in the wrong way. No, they are, you know, responsible for what they're saying, and, you know, I am responsible for questioning it. So in that moment, I should, if it's making me feel tense, I should say, hey, what did you mean by that? Let's really break that down, because at the moment I'm taking it like this. And maybe I'm taking it wrongly, but tell me, what do you mean by that? Put someone on the spot and say, explain. And then when they're like, well, I just meant this, you know, then you can really get a measure of whether they meant that. But there's tension for a reason. You know, when you're picking up on tension, because Five of Swords is a tense card, okay, that's when you reshape your world. So this could be that you're feeling really tense on something and you're ambitious to kind of like change it, because it even says ambition here. It says ambition to win. And I feel like you are literally protected and directed towards a win here. The Justice card is truth, fairness, clarity. And if you've got the moon energy, which is a very cloudy energy, a very uncertain energy, the Justice card indicates you will see the truth of the situation will come to light, whatever this is. For some of you, because of the nature of the cards, I got to be honest with you here, to have the Moon card, Nine of Swords, Three of Cups, and the Justice card with the Ten of Swords, you could have experienced some sort of betrayal. Whether it's through a friendship or a relationship, you may have experienced something with somebody where you thought, that's not fair. I was honest. I didn't deserve that. Why did that happen? So you could be shutting something down, saying, you know what, this isn't even worth my time anymore. I'm just going to leave this, because if I don't change this, this situation is going to continue. So with that Justice card, I feel like you will like hear of karma being exacted on the person or the situation, because I feel like you're getting some good karma. The Wheel of Fortune is projecting this positivity towards you, but it requires some sort of ending of something and a beginning somewhere else, okay? And, you know, this can be that you're defeating something. You're conquering something. A lot of you, I feel it's more that you're conquering your thoughts in order to do something really monumental and special in your life. Whenever you're about to upgrade, whenever you're about to do something incredible, be incredibly successful, that's when doubts come in. What if I fail? What if I don't do this? What if it goes wrong? What if it falls through? Those thoughts are always going to be there. That's what the Five of Swords is out of your like outcome energy. It says negative thoughts are natural because it's a human response to prepare yourself for the worst case scenario. But make sure that it doesn't limit you or, you know, propel you forward with kind of like projecting your fears to the point where they come true. You know, sometimes we can catastrophize and then we can attach a vibration to that. So just be, oh my gosh. Like the first card there is, you have so much to offer the world. Don't ever doubt your contribution. So there is something here about doubt, okay? I feel like you're working really hard to make life work right now. There's a win coming in here. There's a battle perhaps that you've been going through, and you're going to conquer it, whatever that is, okay? Remember, you came here to teach others, So this is you leading by example. You know, you have a lot of information here. Some of you, maybe even information overload. So, you know, for some of you, if this is about a career, it can be that you can teach others, or even, you know, you can tell your story of how you walk through fire to get to where you are right now, or to get to the destination of success where you will be. And this could be you informing others with a book, a memoir, or, you know, a podcast or something. So it can be that the experiences you have and are having are something that you could relate to other people and say, you know what, you got this. You miss beauty when you are stressed. Be gentle with yourself. Be messy sometimes. Let it all go. I mean, there is a reason why you're getting these cards in a different deck. Okay? And I feel this is about you addressing stress, pressure, doubt. We all go through it at some point, and some of you, it may have been amplified recently because of a certain circumstance, but I see that the pathway leads to your Nine of Cups. And finally, we've got be willing to let go of everything you once thought to be true. So again, this is about letting go. Structures, kind of like breaking down, resetting, you know, it's discovering a new truth in some way. For some of you, you are actually having a major personal breakthrough and discovering what you're truly capable of. There's no limitations, you know, so it can be that you may have once thought that something was impossible, but then suddenly it's done. You did it. So I feel there's this major monumental shift in your life right now that is super positive, but you had to go through it to get there. Now, I don't like that as much as you don't like that, of course, my beautiful Virgo. You know, we go through stuff that we're saying, well, look, I didn't ask to have these monumental lessons that are very challenging and painful. But here we are. That's the nature of life. It's how you ride that wave. And I feel a lot of you are having a gear shift right now. You're making some adjustments, and I feel like you will come out on top. Okay, so I'm just going to go and get a trinket or rune before we close. Ooh. So we have, it's rare that I get this one. We have the Eight of Wands there. So this is movement and improvement, good news coming your way. This also connects to things being really fast-paced. So it can be that there's a lot of overwhelming energy and that things are going to get a little bit faster. I don't like that kind of message that's coming through, but what I see here is you learn to manage it better is what I'm seeing there, okay? But also, you know, the Eight of Wands, it indicates something coming in, like some sort of positive news that comes in quickly and requires you to act decisively on it. And that may cause you worry because you're trying to make a decision and you don't want to make the wrong one. But I feel like intuitively you make the right one. So trust the process. We've also got an engagement ring there. Now this could be about commitment. Because of the moon card there, it can be about, you know, you committing yourself to another person. You know, you want to retain your sense of independence, but still you want to give yourself over to a relationship. And it can be all the worries about, you know, happy ever after that go with a relationship. You may be in love with a person, you know, and of course you want to spend your life with a person, but still, you know, getting married is like sealing the deal. And it can be that you worry that once you get married, a person changes or the circumstances change and you feel locked into something. So some of you could be worried about those things. But this is your commitment. You know, this ring just literally means commitment there. And also, my guides just reminded me, thank you so much, I'm truly grateful, that diamonds are formed under pressure. And you are a diamond. And don't ever forget that. Remember your value. Remember your worth. And yes, all this pressure that you've been going through, there is reward on the other side. And finally, we have the key, which basically means answers being delivered, but also a breakthrough, unlocking the next level or stage or even a portal of opportunity that is going to be very positive for you. And of course, on the top of that key is the death card symbol. So that means an ending and a new beginning. So even in the trinkets, there is this energy of you unlocking a new beginning that is going to be very exciting indeed. Okay, so I'll leave it there. I hope something resonates. It was very complex, so it may not resonate with everyone, but I do hope someone out there got something from it. So thank you so much, my beautiful Virgo, and love and light.